then, kind of leading into that, there was an article in Sports Illustrated by Albert Breer that I thought was really interesting about
Yeah.
that the running game is making a comeback. Teams running the football is making a comeback.
About it. Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, my basic take is I've been talking about this with
I wanted to point out one of the things that I thought were interesting was Albert Breer was pointing out that the teams had been drafting like smaller linebackers, right? Because people are, everybody's going to throw the ball. So then it's like, well, they got smaller linebackers. Let's just line up and run the ball right at them because they're not as big, so they can't stop us. So, it's kind of funny. It's one of those things where like the analytics pushes you one way, and then you go really all into that, and then people go, well, wait a minute, if they're doing that, we could do this, which I think is kind of interesting. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of a Moneyball thing where it's kind of flipped. I think it changed when everybody was doing spread offenses. Like if you remember about 10 years ago when Jim Harbaugh started using Colin Kaepernick and teams started doing RPO stuff and spread option stuff. And that kind of changed, it took defenses a while to kind of catch up to that. And in response to that, a lot of teams are playing nickel defense. Like there was an example in the Monday night game, Buffalo played, which likes to play nickel, so they play the extra defensive back, but they had to play a linebacker in place of that defensive back more often than they normally do. So, it's kind of taken over. And listen, this is my theory on this has been basically like I've been one of those people who says, I wouldn't pay a lot of money for a running back and I wouldn't draft one really high just because I think their value is kind of stagnant. I think you can find running backs all over the place and not pay them a lot of money. I was never of the opinion that you don't have to be able to run the ball. Yes, you do have to be able to do it. I don't think you can win the Super Bowl where you're completely depending on your running game to carry you. But we're not talking about winning Super Bowls here. We're just talking about winning games, getting into the playoffs. And you're seeing all of these teams start to dominate playing that way, like New England, like San Francisco. The Rams are having a hard time because they can't run the ball. Tampa's running the ball more.
Green Bay can run the ball pretty well.
Green Bay can run the ball. Indianapolis. You're seeing these teams
make the playoffs, but they've been able to run the ball the last few years.
Right.
So
yeah. The Browns have struggled because they've had injuries. But
the Colts already.
I said the Colts.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So the other thing is that when teams practice, right? So these a lot of these offenses that throw the ball all the time, like especially in the off season, the defenses don't get to practice against teams that just line up and pound the ball at you.
True.
So now you're getting these defenses that they don't know, they're not prepared to deal with that when it happens. As we saw, we're making a big deal about how the Patriots ran the ball. They ran the ball for 3.5 yards a carry. Like it's not like they were great. They cracked one big run. Yeah. So again, I don't think we can make too much out of the game. Buffalo had the ball with 3 minutes to go down near the goal line. Most of the time they win. So,
but I do think that kind of we talked about how Belichick kind of has a coaching advantage over basically every other coach in the league because he's coached for so long.
Yeah.
So him being able to run the ball like this, I think is kind of a problem for people. I mean, granted, they still need to be able to throw the ball. They're not going to win a playoff game throwing the ball 3 times. I mean, I don't think. But they being able to run the ball like this is good. Especially for them if they get home, because they could get the number 1 seed. They play the Titans next week, so they could get the number 1 seed by beating them, and then it's like you're going to have to play in New England in January when could be snowing or windy or whatever else.
The Patriots are playing the Colts next week.
Oh, they're playing the Colts? Oh.
Yeah.
The Titans after that?
They already beat them. The Dolphins the Dolphins are playing the Titans. The Patriots already beat the Titans a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I just thought it was an interesting article. How things have kind of things are starting to change a little bit, but look, I mean, the same things hold true. Like when you get to the playoffs, you got to have the quarterback who can make stuff happen. when on 3rd and 7, when you have to throw the ball, you got to have the quarterback that can make it happen. And that's how you win the Super Bowl. You can win games like this, and
Yeah,
that's
but
my
I think the main point is you need kind of a dynamic offense.
right.
Where you can throw the ball on multiple levels and you can run the ball. Some teams may be able to run the ball better than others, but if you can't really run the ball at all, I think you're gonna have a problem because defenses can just key in on that, and then you may struggle to score enough points.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty interesting. I still think the AFC is pretty open. I still think somebody could get hot and take control of it. I think
the Chiefs could win. You can make an argument for the Patriots. You could maybe make an I don't know. You could maybe make an argument. You could make an argument for the Bills. You could maybe make one for the Chargers or the Bengals. There's several teams that you can kind of see maybe they can get hot at the right time and move through. I mean, same thing in the NFC. Really, I mean, I think that we think the Packers and the Cardinals are the two best teams, but I mean, the Bucks could make another run. I mean, they're right there. I mean, maybe the Rams can kind of play better than they have been. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought it was a pretty interesting thing. I got a couple of things that I wanted to mention. There was an article on NFL.com about Urban Meyer that he's having all kinds of issues with players and other coaches.
With other coaches, yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, so he had a player who tried to leave the facility during practice, didn't want to come back. They had to talk him into coming back in apparently, and he's doing a lot of things where in press conferences he blames players for instead of taking it on himself and blames other coaches and basically says kind of uses this Gestapo kind of authoritarian type deal, which
you can't do that in the NFL.
Right. It works really well in college because you own everything and you can tell the players what to do. But from what the article I read, you can't treat professional athletes like this. So he benched their best running back, and Trevor Lawrence, complained that this guy needed to be playing, because he was the best player they have at that position. And he's had 2 or 3 coaches leave. A couple of them for other jobs, and so I think just full disclosure, I've been skeptical of the Urban Meyer thing from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't believe it would work. Number one, because he couldn't make it through an entire college football season health wise,
right?
And so I didn't.
The thing is, you said that, and then stuff started to happen where it's like, yeah, see, I told you. I mean, the thing with Tebow at the beginning of the year or in the preseason was ridiculous. Okay, the thing with some of the draft picks almost didn't make any sense. Look, they already had running backs. What the hell are you doing?
Oh, yeah, that the strength and conditioning coach, he hired him, right, and then he had to fire him the next day.
Right.
And then he obviously had the incident with the girl in the bar and
right.
A few months ago.
See, so many things have happened that I'm forgetting all the stuff that's happened.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, basically the article said, he doesn't feel like the owner is going to move on from him, but it's one of those things where you've had more than one person. I mean, Mike Lombardi came out and said he thinks he's going to be done after this year. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how this goes, but it was just kind of like it kind of I figured I would mention it just because it jumped out to me that
I mean, if he loses the locker room, and the other thing is, I think you and I both listened to the Ryan Russillo podcast with Kevin Clark, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence has been bad, yeah. And you start to go, well, is he just that bad, or does Urban Meyer not know what the hell he's doing?
Yeah, I think I think that Trevor Lawrence stuff. I don't think it's that big a deal. He's a rookie, and they have no talent.
Right. I get that.
They have no talent on that team, so I don't really worry about that. But it would suck for Trevor Lawrence if this is just a team that changes coaches every year. And
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like whatever Urban Meyer's doing is working. I mean, they didn't score any points today
Right.
against Tennessee, so it's not. Yeah, it's not looking good. It just jumped out to me. I figured I would mention it.
I agree with you.
So notes. I had some notes on the games today. Cowboys defense. I mean, did not see that coming. They are ferocious.
Yeah. Their defense is definitely good. I just, today kind of confirmed for me. I just don't see that. You can make an argument for the Cowboys making it to the Super Bowl or making it to the NFC Championship game, but I just don't see it. I mean, they should have blown Washington out. It was 27-20, and Washington had the ball, and that should not have been the case. They should have blown them out. Dak Prescott threw a pick six that was terrible. Okay, I don't know what the hell you're doing. And also, I know you're paying Ezekiel Elliott a lot of money, but Pollard's the better running back.
Right.
I just, and the thing is, we were some people were holding back with Dak Prescott. So they're like, oh, well, he doesn't have all his guys. He doesn't have Amari Cooper, and there's some injuries on the offensive line or whatever. And it's like, okay, fine. He had all his guys today, and they started off the first half fine, and then the second half, they hardly did anything. So, again, this is my thing with the Cowboys. I think they're good. They're a playoff team. They're going to win their division now. I mean, they've just about got that locked up. But as far as me thinking they can go deep into the playoffs and win multiple playoff games, I don't see it. And people can say, oh, well, you're just being, why should I give them the benefit of the doubt? I mean, like with Kansas City, for example, I've got plenty of criticisms of them, and I've got some concerns. But I mean, if you were to tell me, like, if you were to travel into the future and say the Chiefs made it to the AFC Championship game, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense, because they've done it before. They've done it twice before. So, the Cowboys haven't really shown me anything. So that was just kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I think they're completely different than I would have expected. Their defense is actually playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Their offense is having a hard time. So I'm not sure what, they didn't play well against the Chiefs. They didn't play well today. So yeah, they definitely have some issues. They managed to get the win today. I think you mentioned the Chiefs. I see the Chiefs as they're getting better every week. It's not.
I think that's probably a fair take. I think that's probably what's going on.
Right. It's not leaps and bounds. They're not lighting everybody up like they were, but they're
they scored 48 points today. Now, granted, it's against the Raiders, and they seem to score much points against the Raiders every year. But
yeah, the defense had a touchdown in there. The defense contributed a lot to it. I think they're getting good play on defense. They're doing the little things right on offense. They're running the ball a little bit better. So they're one of those teams that 4 weeks from now they could really be rolling. We'll see. I see.
We can talk about style points and everything else. They've managed to keep winning these games. I still have concerns, but they were 3-4 at one point, and they're now they're 9-4. So they're doing something right because they keep winning the games.
Right.
So
yeah. So I thought they played well. I think the Cleveland Browns they are trending in the wrong direction. They managed to win the game today after Lamar Jackson got hurt, but it is a struggle for them just to make it through a game. I mean, thank goodness they have Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney on defense, because they would be in serious trouble. Like they're it's one of those things. They're gutting out wins. My San Francisco 49ers, they managed to win today. I'm still kind of trying to figure out where they are.
7-6 now.
7-6. They're playing. Okay. They're playing okay. They're running the ball much better. But I just expected so much more from them.
Well, if the playoffs started today, I think the 49ers would be in.
Yeah, 49ers would be in. Yeah, okay. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Like, as much as I'm complaining, they're probably going to make the playoffs. It's just they just don't. That was a good game against the Bengals today.
Yeah.
The other thing, I said this earlier, I'm not selling out on the Buffalo Bills yet. I still think New England, Buffalo, Kansas City, Tennessee, any of those teams, I think, could win the AFC. So, I think Tennessee, obviously, they're going to need Derrick Henry back if they're going to win a bunch of playoff games. But yeah, I don't care that Buffalo lost today. You say whatever you want. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think they still get to play the Patriots again. So we'll see how it goes. This could be very.
Yeah, I mean, you beat the Patriots. They need to win next week because you can't lose 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks they've lost 2 close games. I mean, they probably should have won today. They had the ball down there and they didn't. I mean, we could complain about the refs. I mean, that looked like pass interference on Stephon Diggs in the end zone, but what are you going to do?
But yeah, they put themselves in a hole today, which made
they
it.
They got down 24-3. I mean, give them all the credit in the world for coming back. Josh Allen was ridiculous. I mean, throwing the ball and running the ball. So yeah, anytime you get a quarterback like that, you got a chance. So we'll see.
So those are all the NFL thoughts that I had.
Okay.
Unless you got something else you want to. I don't think there's anything else we really need.
I'm hoping. I looked at the Saints beat the Jets 30-9, so the Dolphins play the Jets next week. So just blow the Jets out, please. Just blow them. Like, show me you can blow somebody out. Like, please, that would be nice.
Yeah, I would. I mean, a couple things. I mean, I want the Dolphins to win, and then play. So we can see the Saints and see that Saints game where the Dolphins still have a shot. And I would like that game, the last game against New England, to actually matter. That would make it kind of fun. Yeah. Anyway, all right, but not great games today, but interesting NFL Sunday.
The second half of the Bills Bucks game was pretty cool. So
yeah.